New details today, a nearly 2-year-long murder case has come to a close.
A Tulsa woman was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole for her involvement in the torture and murder of her own son. We brought you extensive coverage of this case against Camille Lewis and her boyfriend John Miles III. They were both charged with the torture and death of Camille's son, Orlando Huggard Jr.
Fox 23's Devin Lyon was inside the courtroom today for Camille's sentencing.
It was a very long case covering a really heinous crime, and that is finally over. After Camille Lewis waived her rights in court this morning, she then pleaded guilty to all of the charges against her. Camille Lewis, sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. The 33-year-old Tulsa woman appeared in court on Friday for her sentencing. She waived her rights to a trial and pled guilty to all of the charges against her. The charges include 2 for first-degree child abuse, 4 charges for child neglect, 1 charge of second-degree murder, and 1 charge of desecration of a human corpse. Camille Lewis was arrested in February of 2023 after her son, 10-year-old Orlando Huggard Jr., had been missing for over a year. Authorities believed Camille and her boyfriend John had tortured Orlando and his sister to the point of Orlando's death. His sister survived. Camille admitted to both the abuse and murder and the disposing of Orlando's body. In her October testimony against John Miles, she said they burned his body and disposed of the ashes in storm drains around Tulsa. Prosecutors for the county said the Survivors Act applied to Lewis's charges since she was the victim of domestic abuse in her relationship with John Miles.
So the Survivors Act applies in cases where there is clear and convincing evidence that the defendant in a case has also been a victim of domestic abuse. And in the facts of this case, that clearly applied. And so how it works, it impacts the range of punishment that she faced in all but 2 of her counts.
Camille's sentencing comes the day after John Miles was sentenced to 7 life sentences without parole. Camille will be up for parole after spending 35 years in jail. Since the other charges totaled up to 132 years, she will spend the rest of her life on probation if she is ever released.
I'm very glad for the sake of the families, the children involved, that this case is now resolved. I know it's been a long time kind of waiting for justice for everyone, so I'm very pleased to have everything finished at this time.
And now Camille Lewis will spend the next 10 days in the Tulsa County Jail before she's transported to another facility.
Devin, you saw the trial, and Camille Lewis obviously testified against John Miles. Did she get some kind of a plea deal? Is that why she didn't get 7 sentences like he did?
Exactly. That is one of the reasons why her sentencing wasn't so extreme as it was for John Miles. Since Orlando Huggard Jr. was never found, as you guys know, her testimony and her guilty plea helped prove the guilt of Miles for those abuse and murder charges.
And is it right her testimony came after her daughter's, which then shed more light on the extent of that abuse?
Yes, that was back in her original jury trial for John Miles III, and it was probably one of the hardest things any of us have ever had to sit through, especially because Orlando Huggard Jr.'s biological father was in the room, and both those testimonies were well over an hour long. But like the prosecutor said, it's nice that this case is now over and that justice is finally there for them.
Some closure there. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being there. Thank
you
for covering all this. We appreciate it.